Hey, Dan.
Hey, Casey.
You ready to put another movie on trial?
I am. What movie are we putting on trial today?
Today's defendant is the 1985 classic, The Goonies.
The Goonies.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about the Goonies.
Okay, so The Goonies, who doesn't know what The Goonies is, but I will explain it to stay on premise.
There we go.
The Goonies is a movie directed by Richard Donner about a group of young ragamuffins, kids, who go on a great adventure to try and save their hometown.
Richard Donner. What else has he done?
He directed the first Superman movie, all of the Lethal Weapon movies.
I did like that first Superman movie. And Lethal Weapons.
He's directed a lot of really good movies. I'm blanking on some others.
So wait, the guy who directed the Lethal Weapon movies directed Goonies?
Yes.
Okay.
It was executive produced by Steven Spielberg and a script by Chris Columbus, who directed the future Home Alone movies.
Yeah, Columbus script.
And the first two Harry Potters.
Okay. I hate the Goonies.
Why?
I hate the Goonies.
How can you hate the Goonies? Everyone our age loves the Goonies.
I know. I didn't see it until I was in high school or middle school, high school, and I saw it once.
Okay.
Hated it.
That's fair.
Barely remember it.
So here's the thing. I grew up with the Goonies.
Many people do.
Holds a very special place in my heart.
So many hearts.
Watched it. I have distinct memories of watching this as a kid during one specific hurricane growing up. Like, we couldn't go anywhere, and my sister and I losing our minds over how funny this movie was.
Really?
Yes. But I am of the opinion, and I know this is kind of a shared opinion with some critics of the movies, that if you didn't see this as a child, it doesn't hold as much magic for you.
Well, we are two data points that are proving that correct.
Yes.
Because I cannot stand this.
How old
this
were you
garbage.
when you saw it?
I think it was the very end of middle school. So
End of
eighth
middle
grade,
school. So
I don't know.
So probably around 14, or 13, 14.
The height of teenagers being really good at hating things.
And is that the only time you've seen it?
Yeah, I've only seen it once in the basement of my friend's house. There was no hurricane at the time.
So
maybe that's a missing
15
ingredient.
years ago?
Yeah. Wait, how old would I have been?
13, 14? Maybe a little longer?
6 years ago.
Creepy.
I 18 years ago.
Okay. I think I last saw it. I bought it on DVD a few years ago, and so probably within the last 5 years I've seen it.
Wow. Okay.
Probably. I would imagine. I don't have a specific
Well,
instance that I
last
can
five.
think of.
Okay. I thought I saw this last week.
And I will say, there are certain things that I'll mention after we watch the movie that I am aware of some low points in this movie.
Oh, some places where this gem isn't quite perfect.
No, but I can look past it because this is just such a big part of growing up liking movies, I think. It's got quite a cast. Do you remember the cast?
No, I remember. Here's what I remember, because this will be quick. I remember that everyone is 8 years old, and I could not care less about 8-year-olds. I can't stand them now. I couldn't stand them when I was 8. I don't want to see the adventures 8-year-olds go on.
Okay.
I remember a fat kid being he had to show off his fat in order to get into the treehouse or something.
That happens.
Truffle Shuffle.
Yep.
And
wow, you remember the name?
Yeah, because as I was a fat kid, this was okay. So now I hate all the other kids because they're abusive to overweight kids, and then I hated the Truffle or whatever his name was because I was
Chunk.
Because as any fat kid, I was filled with self-loathing.
And I'm sorry, Dan.
I identified with
I'm sorry that if this movie brings up painful memories.
It might.
Is that all you remember? Anything else?
I remember there was a borderline learning disability character they were making fun of, this tall ogre.
Okay.
That is just
I'll save the character name. I shouldn't have said Chunk, but I'm just gonna save the character names for later. But here's who you will see in this movie. You'll see.
Oh, and I remember like pirates showing up randomly.
Okay.
And like just we're not set up at all, just like tonal confusion.
Okay.
It's like if you're watching Stand By Me and aliens come in at the last
Sure.
half hour.
Or like
Like,
AI,
even-
and then aliens come in the last half hour.
That actually is a really good analogy. Yeah, so even as a 14-year-old, I'm like, this movie has some inconsistencies.
Okay. I mean, I can see your point, but I overlook it. I remember everything about this. Like, I've seen this movie probably at least 15 times.
Okay.
You will see Corey Feldman. You will see Josh Brolin.
Oh, really?
Who's playing Thanos in the new Marvel Universe movies.
Okay.
You will see who else? The guy who was the villain in one of the James Bond movies and in Die Hard, whose name I'm blanking on.
Oh,
He's really Italian.
The Italian guy,
Yeah.
yes.
You'll see Joe Pantoliano.
Hey.
You'll see the woman from Throw Mama from a Train.
Okay.
You'll see Martha Plimpton. You'll hear who sang that song? Not Janis Joplin. Oh my God. Cyndi Lauper. Oh my God.
So wait, that song is Time After Time or Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
Oh no. This was full on Goonies song.
Oh, Cyndi Lauper does a Goonies theme.
Song. Yes.
Okay.
You will see.
See, that's already a point that might win me to your side.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're just gonna see a lot of fun hijinks.
I also remember that it felt like it was like a TV show. Like the production value wasn't very high.
Okay.
Flat lighting everywhere and not great.
I could.
Sets.
Hey, we'll have to watch and see what you think.
Okay.
Probably one of my first favorite movies.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But
there's so
I
much
will
better
say,
movies.
I know. I'm not saying it's in my top 10.
You know what I liked when I
Now.
was 8? Citizen Kane.
Sure. I mean, who doesn't
Yeah.
when they're 8? But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think you having not seen it in that long of a period, I think you'll come to the other side.
I am definitely, because I've only seen it once and I saw it as a teenager.
Sure.
I'm most likely to have my opinion change, but really everything I remember about this movie is
Ooh.
bad.
Oh boy. That bad.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Well, how about we just get to it and watch this movie, and we'll be back after we watch it.
I'm a positive guy. Everyone says I'm the most positive guy they know.
I'm positive you're wrong about this. See what I did there?
That was nice. All right, let's
All right,
watch
we're gonna watch the Goonies
Goonies
right now.
All right, so we just watched Goonies. Now Casey, since you've seen it more often, it's less likely for your opinion to have changed. Has your opinion of Goonies changed with this watching?
No.
No. Okay.
Still fun. It's a great kids movie. I think that's the best way to think of it. It's not. I never claimed this to be a work of art.
I notice you really emphasize kids movie there.
Yeah, I mean,
do you have such little respect for kids?
no, come on. That's such a fun. I think you, having seen this now, I feel like and I don't know your opinion, but I feel. You had some comments throughout the movie.
Yes, I did.
You had some comments,
I
and
did.
I feel that if you look at it as okay, what if I was 7 when I saw this or 8? There's a lot of adventure to this because these kids are slightly older than you. They're getting into situations. There's
a lot of Indiana
danger.
Jones style traps.
Yeah, it's there's gadgets. There's a whole bunch of different personalities. There's villains on the loose.
Personalities is generous.
I feel this is and this goes back to my point of why I think this sticks with you as if you saw it when you were younger. Is it's just oh man, I like a lot of this. It's not a perfect movie. I would never say it's a work of art, but I can look past that and just say Man, that's a fun movie. I enjoy it every time I watch it.
It had some moments. It had a surprising amount of things that have influenced pop culture since.
Yeah, and there are definitely parts where I'm kind of like, yeah, man, I've never really known why that happens or why there's like certain weird tones at certain parts.
Yeah.
One in particular that I can get into, but
I feel like you're arguing my points for me.
No. I'm just saying, but I still really like it.
Okay. All right.
How about you?
I still hate this movie. Hate is too strong. I dislike this movie. I'm never going to watch this movie again.
Okay.
Unless some challenge comes up. Yeah, really didn't.
What if a girl wants to watch it?
I said challenge. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's walk through the story of the movie.
Sure.
Yeah, I did not like this movie, and I'll get into my points. But first, the plot. We have a bunch of kids.
Yes.
These characters are one-note characters who have a nickname, a single attribute, and a skill each. We have Corey Feldman, which is he wants to be a smooth operator. His nickname is Mouth, and he can speak Spanish. We have the main... Oh, yeah, this is why I think you like this movie. The main character has asthma.
No way.
His nickname...
I mean, he does. I'm not saying no way he doesn't. He uses an inhaler a lot.
Yeah.
No, that has nothing. I didn't even have asthma until I was in like 5th grade. I developed it.
Okay.
Ha!
Do you remember how you felt about Goonies before and after 5th grade? Like, if you're learning cursive, how do you feel about the Goonies?
No. I liked this movie before I got asthma.
Chunk, his attribute is that he is fat.
Yeah, I will say Chunk this time around, I definitely felt like, oh man, they really ham it up with him.
Yeah, every single one of his lines, he's either yelling, being the foil, like, we should stop, we should go home, this will never work, or they're doing like a terrible like fat kid joke with him. And very often...
Well, he's also a klutz.
Yes.
Which they exploit, which I guess I do enjoy the fact that they are like, we need this thing to break.
Give it to
Chunk. Like
there was an interesting joke there with that.
But they do admittedly this time around I felt like okay, they do lay it on a bit thick.
I feel like they cut him out. I feel like there was a rewrite where they cut him out of like the middle act because he was just way too much.
So I think Chunk gets some really good moment. Like I really love I always get a kick out of kids swearing and like in movies like this, and every time he says, "Oh shit," it's very satisfying.
The swear, like I hate this character. This character reflects everything I hated about myself when I was an overweight little kid wearing Hawaiian shirts and playing video games.
Did you wear Hawaiian shirts?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
When you're an overweight kid, there's not much clothes that look good on you or fit.
Dan.
But yeah, like
I liked
the swearing was actually, I think, his one redeeming character quality.
Yeah.
Because just while
there's a lot of satisfaction out of seeing a kid just go, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, and it came so genuine from him.
Like it came out of a place of actual anger.
Yes, but in general, I groaned when he was on screen.
Okay.
Okay, the other kids.
At least there was no fart jokes for him.
Oh yeah, that's the sort of caliber I was expecting. Like that they give with this character. It's like, oh, this guy, he's tripping over stuff, and he's fat, and he's stupid and clumsy.
I knew you weren't a fan of him, and right before he said, "Ice cream, I smell ice cream."
Oh yeah,
I was like cringing. I was like, "Shit,
we gotta get out of here."
I was like, Dan's gonna like roll his eyes so loudly.
Yeah, you heard the liquid going through my eyes. Just, oh.
But you gotta admit, what's your thoughts on the blender scene?
Oh, where they're interrogating him, and
he's confessing to all the bad stuff he did in his life.
Well, I couldn't really understand what he was saying.
Okay,
we had to watch it twice to pick it up. Which is one of my points is that the script for this movie must have been 300 pages long because every character is constantly talking, usually yelling, all at once. in every scene.
I do feel like that's a director's thing. Like I've seen a lot of interviews with Richard Donner and like the cast, and they talk about like.
Well, Spielberg had a thing where he wanted kids to always be talking in the back of the car, but like in Jaws, like there'll be an annoying scene where they're in a car with the family and the kids are constantly talking in the back for about a minute. Not 2 hours of seven
I have a
kids.
feeling Richard Donner, because I know he's said something along the lines of like, oh, I feel like a surrogate father to these kids. Like, this is a lot of their first movies. Like, and we all were like extremely close. And I feel like he really liked their energy and probably just were like, you're yelling about this and just go. I'm sure.
I can imagine.
I feel like a lot of the reactions are somewhat just very like improvised and more natural than there's no way all of that is written out.
A lot of it felt like a home movie. Like they would just turn on the camera and everyone would run around doing things in a scene. And so like most of the scenes are weird, sort of like, why am I watching this? And some of the scenes, it's almost like they started filming and the kids didn't improvise something that furthered the point of the scene. So they kind of just moved the camera and continued it anyway. And some of the scenes have weird no points. Like that's like the scene where they're going to release. They're going to look at Sloth. He's in the dungeon. Like, oh, let's look at this thing. He's chained up. And then two of the kids just start making out.
Yeah.
And then
the relationship between Brand and Andy is pretty thin.
Sure.
That's and I think anytime that they play that factor up, it's kind of like, eh.
You mean the character whose personality was I work out and person whose personality was I am the girl in this movie?
Yeah. Although, hey, I liked I think at the beginning that Brand and Mikey have a very, very like realistic relationship. I thought
brothers?
Yeah, the brothers.
Yeah.
Like I think they did a really good job of showing like they goof around and there is an age difference and like Brand is like kind of a bully to him, but he's also like, you know, hey, I'm still your brother. Like the scene where they're out on the porch and Mikey's looking sad over the town, and then Brand comes out
and
after being like tough, and he comes back out through the back door and he's like, hey, come here, and he like gives him a hug and then like drags him in a very, I felt like that's a really brotherly moment that I really, really liked. And when Mikey gets on top of him on the bench press machine and he's like, come on, get out of here. Like,
yeah, those two might be actually the best scenes in the whole movie. Because so. Like, you know, they specifically, he does it out of view of his friends.
As far as like realism and acting, like I feel it's the most genuine.
And just the little touch of like, you know, like he needed a hug, he recognizes he needed a hug, went out the back to do it.
Yeah.
And then like dragged him, but he isn't moving his feet.
Yeah,
so he's just dragging his little brother.
I feel like it's a very genuine moment.
Yeah. I'd say the only thing that this movie did really well was the theme of being an outcast.
Yeah.
Because not only is it a very believable like brother relationship, but it's a very believable like
social. These
two kids are not popular at school.
Yeah.
You know, all the main characters were outcasts in some way.
Yeah. For the sake of time.
Oh yeah.
Let's just do a quick plot analysis. So Goonies are being threatened to get their home demolished because a golf course is getting built.
So for some reason, all these houses that are on a hill, by the way, where you would not build a golf course.
Yeah, I noticed that.
All of them are getting foreclosed at once,
I guess, and I don't know why Mikey's dad is the one person responsible for paying the bill. I don't know.
Yeah, the collapse of this one house.
Well, it's going to be all the houses. Yeah. So they're upset. Their neighborhood's going to get destroyed. So Mikey decides they go up into their attic. They find out, you know, about this potential treasure. Because
was it his grandfather or his father that did all the research?
His father, because he worked at the museum.
Okay. Was aware in this awful exposition scene in the attic where they go like, oh yeah, old one man Willie, and they say his ship was all
one-eyed Willie,
and they say his ship was all bombed in and all the gold's there and it's still there to this day.
Yeah. So they go on this adventure to go see if they can't find this gold. Meanwhile, this crime family, the Fratellis, have recently broken out of have broken one of their own out from prison, are on the run from the cops, have killed some guys. Their paths cross, and then the Goonies go on their adventure to find One-Eyed Willie's treasure. The Fratellis find out about this and chase after them. And
that's a spectacular example of like a what the hell is this scene about? When they're giving them the water,
yeah.
What were they trying to scare the kids out of the house?
Yeah, they were just trying to be, because at that point they didn't know the
hold
kids
their cover.
Yeah, at that point they just thought, oh, some kids wandered in. They don't know anything, so
she pulled out the tongue and with a knife.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's still under the guise of like gonna pretend this is a restaurant when it clearly isn't.
I mean, I think it was more of a just I'm gonna scare these kids away and hopefully they don't come back.
Okay.
But they eventually go and find this. I was trying to be like spoiler free for some reason. They find this ship full of gold. They escape from the Fratellis, who catch up with them, and Mikey saves the day because he has jewels that will pay off this bill.
Yeah,
I don't know what
for
to
some
call
reason,
it.
like there's a deadline on signing this paperwork,
Yes.
but the fact that he is in possession of jewels, that somehow instantly transfers into
Oh, and
currency.
Chunk befriends
the whole town.
Chunk befriends the disfigured other Fratelli son, Sloth, and they save the day.
Yep. You'll notice we skipped over a bunch of the middle there, which I can only describe as an hour of falling onto a skeleton, going all Scooby-Doo, and then running, and then falling onto another skeleton.
Do you want to hear my problems with the movie? Because I will say, I mean, this time I was like, okay, there's definitely some.
Oh, I hate being the negative one.
No, it's fine.
I'm a positive, loving guy.
No, it's fine.
I don't want to turn you negative.
No, it's not changing my opinion of the movie.
Okay.
But the two things, and I remember this has always bothered me. They go at one point and they're like, wow, they think they found the treasure, and it's actually turns out it's at the bottom of the town, like wishing well.
I actually like that part.
Which I think that's a fine scene.
Yeah.
The one thing that just really comes out of nowhere is Mouth, Corey Feldman, gets real dramatic and heavy at one point. He's like, yeah, well, this is my wish, and it didn't come true, and I'm taking it back. I'm taking it all back. And then he just sinks into the water. And it's a really, just like, up until that moment, there hadn't really been too... I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make, like, Mouth be like... they're trying to convey that Mouth is, like, he puts on this facade of, like, oh, I'm a wannabe tough guy, and I'm always a wise... You know, I've always got to come back.
I'm a smooth operator.
I'm a smart ass, but I'm actually, like, really... upset emotionally about stuff like that type of character, but they never established that anywhere else in the movie, really, that I can remember.
I feel like they could have given that line to any of the kids, because it was just sort of a feeling of like we're the outcasts and the one thing we have is being taken away from us, and we're angry about it.
And then the other thing that I think this has always bothered me, but it gets more annoying as I get older, is Mikey just being like, we're here for you, Willie. I'm going to figure this out, Will. Like, he just talks to One-Eyed Willie, like, in the middle of scenes. He's like, what are you trying to tell us, Willie? And I'm like, yeah, I don't appreciate that. That, and something that has always bothered me is, and this is purely filmmaking, editing, is at the end, they mention an octopus that is a deleted scene that I have seen the scene, and there's no reason for it to be in the movie. I don't know how it got missed. Because they could have just cut to the next line where he's like, yeah, the rocks were scary or something, or the pirate ship, and the reporter's just like, pirate ship?
Having not seen the movie, I laughed at that line, and not because I thought it was a mistake. It was just kind of a humorous...
Yeah, that's
like
a very...
They went on a long adventure. And
that's very nitpicky, and it only started bothering me once I had seen the broadcast for TV version that includes the octopus scene.
Gotcha.
And then I was like, why is that mentioned in the movie at all when they don't show it?
Well, since you shared your negatives, I'll share my positives.
Okay.
I mentioned that there's a lot of things in this movie that eventually eked into pop culture that I didn't know was from this movie. Like the Venture Brothers intro is basically the intro of this movie.
Yes.
Had no idea.
I really forgot. I forgot how
Dead
cool,
on.
how cool the opening is, where it just is the skull. It zooms in and then it zooms out, and then it just shows the logo, and it's pretty much silent. It's very striking visually.
Yeah, the silence was weird.
Yeah.
The character tropes of like the mother, the wicked old mother, and her 3 sons who are into crime, except for the dumbest one who is a good guy. Clearly from this movie. Especially, I think I'm trying to remember what incarnation I saw where she even had like the beret, the wicked old mother.
This was played by Anne Ramsey.
Thank you, Anne Ramsey.
Anne Ramsey, Joe Pantoliano, and Robert Davi are the Fratellis. What else?
That might be it.
Those are the 2 positives?
Well, I mean,
Wait, what was the positive?
I liked the themes of being rejects. I loved the brother to brother scenes at the beginning.
What about that pirate ship?
Pirate ship was impressive.
Real ship. Apparently,
Really?
after they finished filming, they offered it up to whoever wanted to take it, and no one could take it.
Yeah,
so
who
they
can
just
take a pirate ship?
I know, it was huge, and so they just had to dismantle it.
No. Oh, and I love the "Hey, you guys."
Oh yeah, sloth. So
Didn't like sloth, but I loved the "Hey, you guys."
my sister and I used to love watching this movie purely for sloth, especially for Rocky Road.
Who's the actor who played sloth?
He's actually he was a football player. His name was John Matuzak. I'm probably saying that wrong.
He did good.
Yeah. He passed away in 1989. But he was in a couple of movies, nothing really memorable other than this.
All right, you know what I liked, which I didn't. It didn't affect me as much at the time to write down in my notes, but I liked the Chunk Sloth relationship.
Did you? I felt like you were going to say, what, Chunk loves Sloth after 12 hours? I thought you were going to be very anti-Chunk and Sloth being, well, not a couple, obviously, but like forming that bond so quickly. I know you're cold as ice.
I have a stone heart, but
Yes.
no, I think it's because they really did make Chunk, like for the first act of this movie, the most disgusting, awful human being ever. And then you're confronted with another horrible. That's terrible of me to say to people with deformities
He was dropped as a baby
several times.
Yes.
And then they form an unstoppable team. It's very Freak the Mighty. It's very.
No, yeah. I think yeah. I like it. I like Sloth a lot. Chunk this time around was a bit more noticeably like, man, they really hammer home the fact that he's fat and clumsy a lot. But yeah, so seems like we're at an impasse.
Yes.
What do you give it on
I know that we're over time, but I have to share a couple more points.
Fine.
Bring
them up.
The filmmaking is not great. I have a note here that says that this was the longest episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark I've ever seen. The storytelling is not great. Everyone in every scene, and these scenes have like 7 people in them. Everyone in every scene shouting constantly just gave me agita. I couldn't handle it.
You know what I couldn't you know what bothered me this time around? I couldn't remember what the counterfeit money machine was for.
I'm guessing it's the Fratelli hideout. It's maybe what he went to jail for in the first place.
Probably, but they didn't explain it well enough.
Exactly.
Because I was like, oh yeah, and I actually thought it paid off, no pun intended, later in the movie, and then nothing happened with it. I was like, oh, whoops.
It's the storytelling was bad, and it was because they
I feel like stuff has been cut. I know a lot of scenes got cut from this movie, and I'm not saying for sure that plot device got explained for any reason, but I know there's a lot of other stuff that exists in this movie. It's strange.
I liked what you said about the novelization.
Yes, apparently according to the novelization of the Goonies, which now I am tempted to read.
And we're all accepting as canon now.
Yeah. Apparently, Sloth going to live with Chunk is a real thing that happened, where they his parents adopted Sloth and threw him a bar mitzvah.
I didn't know Chunk was Jewish.
Oh, they say it all over the movie.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
I only picked up that he was.
He says when he played, he stole his Uncle Max's toupee to use as a beard when he played Moses in his Hebrew school play.
Oh, he said Hebrew school
Yeah.
play? All right. I thought he just said school play. But it would
And he
make
does-
sense.
I think he does say. I think he says oy vey or something. Or no, and then when he sees one of the Fratellis, he's like, Mister, you gotta help me. I found the secret. My friends are in trouble. We found the secret hideout, and then they reveal it's one of the Fratelli brothers.
Mm-hmm.
He starts praying. He's like going Baru Hata.
I was wondering what that was.
He starts. Yeah.
I don't know
reciting.
Hebrew at all, I guess.
Yeah, that's Hebrew.
That makes sense now.
Yeah.
There's very little internal consistency. All the talking at once I hate it, but it creates sort of a realistic scene, like a realistic Steven Spielberg scene. And there's skeletons and there's threats of death, but there's like this cartoony contraptions, Rube Goldberg machines that go off throughout the movie. I hated it when Short Round would get grabbed and he would pull some lever and there'd be a sound effect and he would Jar Jar himself out of the situation.
Jar Jar.
Like,
how dare you? Say So yeah, Rube Gold. Like, I think the most egregious Rube Goldberg machine thing in this movie is for sure
the gate
at Mikey's house, where it's like that took longer than to just walk down the stairs and open the door. All the other stuff I let that pass because it's like it's an adventure movie. It's like it's pirates, it's booby traps. That's the whole point. Is like there's gonna be traps and puzzles and like I think that's not as egregious as the house gate.
I wonder if at one point in the house gate relies on a chicken laying an egg, so they can only open this gate once a day.
Ugh. Is that true? Chickens can only lay an egg once a day?
Pretty sure. Or I don't know. Listen, I'm not an expert on chickens, but I'm an expert on opening gates. And that's not
It's a waste of eggs for sure.
Also, Chunk couldn't fucking get over that gate.
I guess it's locked.
It's like
I don't know.
Hip height. Okay. And then my last category of complaints is just entitled unlikable characters. Several points throughout the movie I had like a little tally box that was who am I supposed to like in this, and I checked it several times throughout it.
Again, it's definitely like I think a more kidsy adventure movie, and it's supposed to be like I think it's one of those movies that like as a younger person like I really enjoyed it, and I know my parents enjoyed it. Like they were like, "This is better than watching like a really bad kids movie." There are way worse movies than this.
Yeah. There's
especially
worse
that
movies.
A kid could pick out to want to go see.
And the 80s had a lot of these types of movies, which was adventure, family adventure.
Yeah.
Man, it didn't need to be 2 hours though. They could have made that an enjoyable 90-minute.
I thought it was only like 95 minutes. I was shocked when you told me it was 2 hours.
Yeah, 154 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. It felt like 3.
Well, you didn't change your opinion. I didn't change my opinion. I'm sorry, Dan.
Yes.
You'll just never like the Goonies.
I'm okay with that. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Casey? What movie should we put on trial next? These are all valid questions. I am. We're planning the next session right now.
I'm pretty sure during this movie we mentioned another movie that you were like, yeah, I don't like it. Or maybe that came up today.
I did. There was a couple movies that came out today. You know what? I don't like E.T.
Oh my God.
Which I feel like I shouldn't say because there was someone out there who was like, yeah, fuck Goonies. But they love E.T. and now they're no longer on my side. You can't be full of hate, people.
You blew it.
You have to always go with what you like in things. Be a positive person.
Yeah, Dan. Be a positive person, like the Goonies.
I'm positive that movie was terrible.
Duh, you turned back my joke I did in the first segment, and damn it. Goonies
Yeah.
never say die.
Say die. Say die.